welcome to Open Forum in the Villages, a show where we talk about issues, clubs, and activities going on here in the Villages, Florida. This is Mike Roth talking to you on the first episode of Open Forum for the Villagers. In this show, we're going to talk to leaders in the community, leaders of clubs, interesting folks who live in the villages, to give a perspective of what's happening here in the villages and information that I think all villagers should have. Our first guest next week will be Don Wiley. Don is the chairperson of Community District Number 10, and he is also on the Project-wide Advisory Committee as the chairperson. And in addition to teaching drones at the Enrichment Academy, Don is taking on the project of running for the Sumter County Commission. Don is going to be an extremely interesting guest, and we're going to probably interview him over a couple of week period so that all of our listeners can get to know Don and what he stands for. In subsequent weeks, we'll be talking about the improvisational theater company here in the villages, of which I'm a part, and of which I am the leader. And I'm going to have my co-leader, Larry Rodkin, come in and talk about some of the things we've done in the past and some of our future endeavors. The improvisational theater company is available for meetings of other clubs, and we do performances of about an hour for them. Our public shows are about twice a year. Our next one is October 28th at Roth, and I will let you know when tickets become available for that show. During the show, we may have time to take questions from audience members, so always be ready to give us a call or send in a text message. We hope to add a new episode every Friday at 9 a.m. This is Mike Roth. I'm here today with Don Wiley to record episode number 1 of Open Forum in the Villages. I'm going to be releasing my conversation with Don in 3 episodes, each one about 15 minutes. In addition, for our future paid subscribers, they will have early access to shows, as well as subscribers will have extra material that will be available to them. In future shows, we'll be talking about the Improvisational Theater Club, some of its productions. We'll be talking about some of the things the automobile clubs in the villages are doing, like the M-Benz Club or Mercedes-Benz Club. We'll be talking about the Boomer Humor Club, and we'll be talking to other people of interest in and around the villages. So let's get on to the interview, Don. Don, in the past, has been a nuclear reactor operator for the U.S. Navy on submarines.
Correct.
Yeah. I was always interested in submarines, and when I was in the sales training business, David Sandler's algorithm for the selling system was an old battery-powered World War II submarine, where if anything went wrong, you took out the 2x4s and stopped the leak.
It's not quite that way these days.
Yes. Anyway, Don, when did you move here to the villages?
8 years ago in April.
April, 8 years ago. Currently, you're the supervisor for CCD number 10.
CDD 10, yes.
CC.
I'm one of the supervisors. I've been on the board for about 7.5 years now, and I'm the current chairman. I have been for the last 4 years.
Okay. You're also chairman for the advisory committee, the joint?
Project-wide advisory committee, yes. I've been the chairman for that for about 1.5 years.
Okay. In addition to that, you have your own little business called WingNut, where you do flyover videos of the construction in the villages, as well as doing some private work where you shoot videos for people who purchase homes and want to see them remotely.
Gold WingNut Productions is a company. It's just a small media company. Mm-hmm. Most people know the Gold WingNut videos on YouTube, where I do the construction updates. Doesn't pay the bills.
No.
So,
how many of them have you done on these flyover videos?
Well, when we get done here tonight, I'm going to go home and continue editing number 112, which is due out in a couple of days.
Okay. How frequently do you actually release those?
It's varied from weekly to monthly. I target twice a month. Other than that, it becomes too much effort to put it out. There's a lot of editing involved. And too few than that, then there becomes too much material.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely a balancing act. But I found twice a month is about right.
So how many drones do you actually fly?
Well, legally I only fly one at a time.
Okay, you fly one at a time, but how many drone ships do you have or aircraft?
I have 7, I think, maybe 8. I only use for my YouTube videos 3 or 4 of them, just because one has a zoom lens on it, the other 2 are just my go-to birds, and I've got a little tiny one I use called a Mavic Mini for when I want to get into some really tight places. It does just as well as the other birds, but it doesn't cost as much if I screw up.
If it crashes into something.
Yes, if it crashes, which has happened on occasion.
Mm-hmm. What is the average cost of the go-to drones?
They're about $1,700 a piece.
$1,700 a piece.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I actually have 3 of those. I only use 2 of them for flying. One of them is called a Chinese New Year's edition. It's red. It's got a dragon painted on it. They only made about 1,000. I don't fly it. It's strictly for show.
Strictly for show.
Yeah. The other one is black, and one of them is white. And which one I use just depends on the skies. Which one is easier to see in the air?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You've been flying drones now for how many years?
5 years.
5 years. And how many of them have actually crashed into something or run out of batteries too far off the ground?
I've only had 5, maybe 6 crashes. I don't consider a battery failure a battery that died in midair that shouldn't have a crash. That's my fault. But I've ran into a couple of palm trees. Just a couple of weeks ago, I did what I tell my students not to do. I took my eyes off the bird, and I ended up flying sideways into a pine tree. Mm. So, but it's been fixed, and it's back in the air.
Okay. Now, do you fix them yourself?
Oh, no. That's like asking, do you fix an iPad yourself when you break it? No, it's much too complex. I send it off for repair. There's a type of insurance that the manufacturer offers. I had a $1,400 aircraft that crashed, and it cost me $120. And they didn't even fix it. They just give me a new one. So it's like, okay, I'll take a new one.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good way to do it. Okay. So in addition to all of those occupations and tasks, you're also running for the Sumter County Commission.
Yes. I even though I've been serving the CDDs for the last 8 years, 7.5, whatever, and it was time to step up and run for county commissioner. I wasn't happy with what I was seeing in the people that have been elected recently, and the opportunity and the timing was right. So I made the decision to go for Sumter County Commissioner.
So which seat are you running for?
It's District 5.
District 5.
Right, which is this, I guess we'll call it the south central part of the villages, basically the area between 466A and 44, and going about a half a mile north of 466A, also not quite out to Buena Vista, but going to the east to the county line.
Okay, so it's a pretty big swath of people, mainly in the villages.
Yeah, it's all villages residents. However, county commissioners are elected not by the district that they're in, but as at large. So everybody in the county is voting for all the county commissioners. Mm-hmm. That was the goal of the Sumter One initiative about, it's been almost 20 years ago now that they did that. I don't remember the exact timeline, but so I have to represent not just villages residents, but I'll have to represent all the residents of Sumter County, which is the right thing to do. The way the county's structured right now with the villages population, basically at the next election, we're looking at 4 of the county commissioners coming out of the villages, just because of the population size, which would really put the rest of the county at a disadvantage. So by being elected at large, even though 4 of us may live in the villages, we have to represent the interest of all of the Sumter County. So it's a good thing. It obviously makes it much more difficult to run a campaign. There's a movement out to reverse Sumter One. The only thing that serves is the people running for office, because then I could just focus on just running here in the villages. Now, because of the Sumter One initiative, I have to I have to be in touch with the entire county. And
it's a big county.
It's a big county. It's a very diverse county. Most people in the villages don't get outside the bubble. And I think that's a real shame because there is a lot to see. I get to see a lot of it on the motorcycle, you out riding. It's a beautiful county, very lush, very green, lots of farmland.
Lots of farms.
Lots of farms. Some really, really good restaurants that most people don't realize are there.
Really?
Yeah.
What's an example?
Catfish Johnny's over in Lake Panasoffkee.
Okay.
I can never get that name right. But yeah, Catfish Johnny's, really good food, very reasonable price. And they're just scattered all over the county. Definitely worth the trip out. I hear a lot of complaints. Oh, we need more restaurants here in the villages. No, you need to venture out. You need to explore. But by the same token, the businesses outside of the villages don't really target basically where the money is. And try and get people out of the villages, come to their restaurants, come to their businesses.
I know we went to a restaurant. It was a shrimp place that had opened on Lake Panasoffkee. Stayed open for about 3 or 4 months, then closed up.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a pretty good spot.
Yeah.
Food was good. Prices were reasonable.
Yeah, I've been to several of the restaurants in Lake Panasoffkee, and it's always been good. A couple of them, like you said, have gone under. So, I think we all need to work together.
Right. So you're in the primary election in August?
Right. The primary is August 23rd. Currently, right now, for District 5, there are 3 people that are attempting to run, myself being one of them. There is no Democrats or independents or write-ins that have qualified yet. So the election will be open to everyone in the county, Democrat, Republican, or independent. If someone were to, as would happen during the last election, decide to run as a Democrat or as an independent, then we would have a closed primary, and it would just be Republicans voting for those 3 candidates, and then they would go up against the other individuals in the November election. If that doesn't happen, if nobody else is running but the 3 Republicans, then whoever wins the primary will win the seat. There would be nothing.
No election in November.
There would be no election in November.
Okay, and there are 4 county seats, commissioner seats available?
Yes, right? 4 of the county commissioner seats are available. 2 of them were scheduled, and 2 were because of the
premature retirements.
It was a very unfortunate issue. At this point, we're going to let the courts work it out.
Yeah.
Other than that, it would be irresponsible, premature to pass judgment.
Can't talk about it. Okay. Let's talk about when you moved here. You decided to run for the CDD board number 10, where you live. Why did you do that coming out of the Navy?
Well, actually, I had been out of the Navy for quite a few years. I retired in 99.
Okay.
And we moved here in 14. I've always been actively involved in running of whatever organization or community I was involved with. In the Navy, I was always busy with lots of extracurricular activities on the ship. In my last community, I was head of the HOA for 6 out of the 7 years I lived there.
Okay.
I made the mistake after 1 year of going to a meeting and complaining about some of the bookkeeping that was being done. The current chairman.
So you went to this board meeting.
Yeah.
And then you made a complaint about the way they were doing the accounting.
Yes.
And so they made you the president of the board.
Yeah. The rest of the residents named me as chairman of the HOA.
And funny. Same thing happened to me in California.
Yeah, never open your mouth; you'll get it.
You were elected.
Yeah. But anyway, we moved here. I decided to try and understand better how this community was run. So I started attending the CDD meetings. I went to 2 of them, and then I found out that there was an election seat opening. So I put in for it. The rest is history, as they say.
Okay.
I ran for re-election 4 years ago. I won by a very slim margin, 11 votes.
Wow.
It was an interesting election. I don't like mudslinging, but that's where things kind of went, at least on the other side of the aisle. But good sense prevailed. and I got reelected. But it's, it's a very enlightening position. You definitely start to understand better how this community works. It's I don't want to say it's complicated, it's complex in the inner workings of our local government with the CDDs, but it's proven itself to be very, very effective. I think we get a lot for our money, if you will. Our maintenance assessments are relatively low, and it takes care of a lot of things that most people don't realize it does.
Good. Thank you, Don, and we'll be back next week to continue the conversation.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you having me.